Hi, I'm Chris Colvin. I'm the founder of In the House. We're a community for general counsel and other in-house lawyers to share information and best practices and get to know their peers and do educational and training opportunities for in-house legal departments. We do these series of 5-minute videos, which we call house calls, with innovative people that are involved in working with corporate legal departments. So we're delighted today to be here with Kristina Podnar. Kristina is a digital policy consultant with over 2 decades of experience, helping high-profile businesses understand that digital policies present a unique way to decrease risk and increase opportunity. So first of all, Kristina, welcome and thank you for appearing on House Calls.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm excited to be here with you. So let's first of all start with your own experience and tell us a little bit about how you first got involved with the intersection of digital policy and corporate legal departments.
Well, it's a really long, murky story, but to sum it up, Chris, I really worked in the dot-com space in the 1990s, and I saw the wild, wild west, right? Things like credit cards being passed through unencrypted files, websites down for half a day or more at a time. And what I realized is that we were creating all kinds of risk, which was probably fine because we were in the early days of the internet and digital. But as we started to mature in the 2000s and even today, we still continue to take a lot of risk without cognizantly thinking about it. And we're mature enough now that we really need to stop that kind of behavior and start acting a little bit more grown up. And if you take that and you couple it with a lot of the new regulatory and legal movements around digital around the world, I just said, you know what, this is my sweet spot, even though I'm not a lawyer.
Great, well, thank you. So let's bring that forward, your experience forward into the current environment. And what are some of the observations you have about the impact of the current environment, taking into account the global pandemic, the movement around racial justice due to some of the police brutality incidents that have happened, including very recently, and also more general trends that we're seeing in the business community. What's some of the impacts you see on the corporate legal department specifically?
Great question. So, for a while now, we've been in an environment, I would say probably from about 2010 onward, where consumers are no longer to see digital, whether it's a website or a mobile app, chatbots, AI, whatever it is. Consumers are not happy, they're not content just to see information about products and services. They actually want to see across the user experience and across the digital realm, really what the company stands for in terms of values. And it's not just really the pandemic. It's not about just what we're seeing on the streets in terms of the protests and social equality requirements of today. We've been seeing this for a while around the environmental, around societal issues, political issues, etc. Folks want to understand, what does the organization stand for, right? We want to actually understand, what are the values, what are the ethics, where do you draw the line? And who better really to help understand that, define that, and drive that than the general counsel? Right? We need actually somebody within the organization who's going to help to understand the risks and the opportunities that come with digital operations and with the stance that the business is taking. Trying to actually define that framework and say, these are the boundaries. Within these boundaries, within the framework, you can do what you want to. You can be free, you can be innovative, you can be creative. But when you start to get too far, that's when you place the business at risk. And it's the kind of risk that we're not willing to take on. So OGC should be not at the table, but really leading that conversation, I think, and really helping the organization understand and apply, yes, certainly the laws and the regulations, but also the opportunistic policies that come with that.
Well, I love that. I love that insight, because general counsel and their teams are expert at risk management. So it just makes natural sense to bring them to the table right away, or even, as you point out, they should even be driving the conversation in many cases. So I love that suggestion. To close, what advice do you have for general counsel and other in-house leaders going forward into the future as we get back to whatever the new normal is, and as we try to figure out how to chart a successful course for our companies and for our legal departments?
Well, Chris, I firmly believe that we're not going back to normal. we're going to a new time. We've hit the reset button. And what that means is it's also a reset for general counsel. This is an opportunity to reset what you're doing internally inside of your organizations and really take a more proactive role in helping the business out. Again, all about balancing out those risks and opportunities and getting digital right. And so if I'm kind of thinking about where do you go from here, what should you be doing and asking, ask yourself things like, does the organization have and maintain, critical here, have and maintain a full set of relevant policies? Are those policies disseminated throughout the enterprise? Are people trained and enabled to apply those policies? Are we understanding and monitoring the shifts in the digital place and also in a lot of the environmental, political, social environment to understand how should we really be adjusting our policy, not just for compliance, but also for ensuring that we're resonating with the consumer, we're growing our baseline and our numbers, and we're doing it in the US, we're doing it globally, wherever we find ourselves operating. So great time, I think, for everybody to step up and really take this as an opportunity and shift the conversation with OGC at the center of it.
Great. Well, Kristina, thank you so much for appearing on House Calls and for sharing these great insights into how digital policy can really help transform the role of the corporate legal department and the general counsel. I really appreciate your time today.
The pleasure was all mine. Thanks, Chris.